Hey everybody, this is Christian from Archery Strong. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to fix hyperextension of the lower back when you're drawing and holding so that you can relieve pain in the lower back if you have any pain, or ultimately improve performance through a better core position up into your draw and hold. In this video, I'm going to walk through a 4-step process with you that will help you gain control and fix hyperextending of the lower back. Now, the quick question I want to cover before we step into these 4 pieces is, why don't we want to hyperextend? The important thing to know is that extending at the lower back, which anteriorly tilts the hips and arches that lower back, is a normal range of motion for the lower back. However, it is not something we want to do excessively or repetitively, meaning every shot and every hold, which can also spill over into a hyperextended daily life position. Now, that position excessively or repetitively really jams the spine and the vertebra together. It causes an overloading and an overdominance of the lower back muscles, and it makes it very difficult to utilize the core for general health of the lower back and hips, as well as good bracing for performance. We'll start with step number 1, which is the simplest and most foundational level of engaging the core and neutralizing the spine. What you're going to do is lay flat on your back, knees are bent, hands can rest on your stomach, or you might find good feedback from fingers underneath of your lower back. Very simply, you're going to tilt your hips so that your belt buckle comes towards your chin, lower back smashes down, core braces, and now I get the spine to approximately a neutral straight line, opposed to the slight hyperextension we see in a natural spine. So I smash the lower back down by tucking the hips, engaging the core, and what you're doing is going from that slight hyperextension to an engaged neutral position, which is the first foundational step to building towards being able to do this when drawing and shooting a bow. So you can do repetitions, or you can smash and hold to feel that position and engagement. Now that we've done step 1, that supine pelvic tilt, just to give you a little bit of an opportunity to learn how you can adjust away from hyperextension, we're going to move into step number 2, which is a wall pelvic tilt. We're coming off of the floor into a weight-bearing position, which is more similar to archery, of course, being standing. And now this makes it a little bit more difficult to gain that control, and this is where you're going to practice, and also it will be a little bit of a test. So what I'm going to do is lean back just a little bit against a flat wall here. So my feet are about a foot away from the door. Naturally, as we all stand here, we're going to have a space underneath our lower back that's natural and normal. Some are going to have more excessive arch than others. But what you want to practice and work towards having better control with is that same tilt of the hips, smashing the lower back towards the wall, belt buckle comes up. And we're exaggerating a little bit here because we want to give you the full control that you're looking for when you are standing and shooting your bow. And then I can relax. Again, I'm going to tilt the hips backwards, belt buckle comes to chin, lower back smashes towards the wall. You should feel some core engagement, some glute engagement even as well for this movement. And you can hold this, you can do a couple repetitions, and we're slowly building from step 1 to 2 to 3 and 4 towards more control, giving you the ability to test if you have this ability to position your hips in a neutral spine, gaining that neutral position versus being completely arched. Now, if you have struggled or found it challenging to do step 1 or 2, which a lot of people do, approximately 50% of the people I'll work with will struggle just even with those first 2 steps. Spend your time there, take your time with those, and continue to practice. Otherwise, we'll move to step 3. Moving to step 3, we are going to do a band draw check, meaning that we're going to put you in a position where you can find that neutral center, so not excessively arched, not fully tucked, but nice and neutral, and allow you to execute some draws. This is going to show you now, as we add the variable of a drawing movement and a holding movement, can you maintain that core position? Ideally, what you want to be against would be a wall corner, a post. I'm going to use this little piece of trim, which isn't ideal, but it will give you the sense of you're going to stand completely straight and vertical with that wall corner or with that post or whatever you have running along your spine. And that's going to give you feedback as you do a couple of light to moderate band draws. Am I either arching way away from that wall as I draw and hold, or am I able to stay neutral, keep my spine aligned, draw and hold? Now, please understand, you're not leaning back against this like you're hanging out and letting the wall support you. You're just allowing that corner or that post to touch your spine, run along your spine, because you'll be able to feel, okay, yes, I'm neutral as I draw and hold, or, you know what, as I draw, I start to bow my back out, I push my stomach forward, I arch at the lower back. If you find you have difficulty with this, this is where you'd want to practice and stay. Otherwise, we're going to go to step 4. The fourth and final step after practicing these first 3 drills is to go and draw your bow and check to see if you make that mechanical fault of hyperextending and letting the hips dump forward. Now, it's very important that you video this because you want to be able to see yourself from the appropriate angle, which would be from directly behind, so that you can see that fault if it is made. Going off of just what we feel is not a reliable source of whether we truly corrected that or not. Now we're going to see one of 2 things when you go to draw and shoot your bow. Either after practicing, you'll be able to remain neutral with either just a slight arch or close to a flat back, close to a level belt around your hips, and you'll be able to draw and hold without sacrificing your midsection position. Or you'll go to shoot your bow and you will resort back to making the fault of hyperextending, pushing the stomach out, arching the lower back. If that's the case, this is a sign that most likely your draw weight is too heavy. And the way that we know that is if you were okay when you did the band draw and you were able to draw the band without making any faults when we were against the wall just a minute ago, but then you went to draw your bow and you made that fault, the only variable that is changing there is the load, meaning there was more load, you had to work harder in order to achieve that draw, you had to make a mechanical fault. Now, arching and hyperextending does give you some extra leverage, but for reasons we talked about earlier related to jamming up the spine, getting overactive in the lower back muscles and overloading those muscles, it's not something we want to do repetitively. So if we come to this conclusion for you where, okay, you do have the control in other places, steps 1, 2, and 3, but when you go to that extra load, you have to arch and you have to make that hyperextension. You have 2 options, either lower your draw weight or you can get stronger. Through resistance training, we provide a lot of training to help archers build draw strength, build their ability to draw their bow without having to make those compensations. So that's something that you will have to determine on which path you want to take there. Those are the 4 steps that can help you start to fix this issue of hyperextending. If you either have lower back pain, the top of your hips bother you, or you just want to be more mechanically sound in your shot and not have to make that mechanical maneuver to be able to draw and hold your bow. Some archers that struggle with this will need more work. They'll need more specific exercises. They'll need a different approach that fits them. That is something we work with archers for. If you're interested, we have that process at archerystrong.com. I hope that you found this video valuable and helpful. If you did, subscribe to my channel, like the video. That's always helpful. I appreciate your support.